There's an old adage that says, "A picture is worth 1,000 words." Photographs are more than just snapshots. When taken the right way, they become dramatic personal statements about you. They can tell your 4-H story, skills learned, accomplishments, and project activities with just one shot. Welcome to our series on tips for creating a Tennessee 4-H project portfolio. My name is Lori Gallimore, and I'm a 4-H Extension Specialist with the University of Tennessee. Over the last few years, I, along with several 4-H agents, volunteers, recent 4-H graduates, and our regional area 4-H specialists have been working to improve the 4-H portfolio system. An extensive survey of both agents and current 4-H members, along with a national research project, was conducted in 2016 by our portfolio work group. This revealed the desire for a number of improvements to the portfolio, including more training. And this is why I am here today. This training session is one of several to help you build a quality 4-H portfolio. In this session, we'll look at photos. To begin, it's very important that you understand for the purpose of this training, I will be using examples from a 4-H project that no longer exists, home environment. This was done so that I could not and would not show bias towards any of the current 27 existing Tennessee 4-H projects. It's also important to note that this training module has nothing to do with how to work a camera or take a great photo. Well, if I'm not going to show you how to do that, then what's this training all about? Let's start by looking at the objectives of this training session. There are 3 areas that we will cover in this short training module. The first is how to select the best and most appropriate photos that support your 4-H work. Next, we'll look at how the photographs fit in with the rest of the portfolio. And finally, what your judges are looking for when they judge the photo section of your portfolio. Let's start with the first objective, and that is selecting the best photos, and look at a few of the basics. First, you should think about the photos that you will need or would like to have at the beginning of the school year. This is not an activity whereby you scroll through your iPhone the night before you turn in your project portfolio, although we know that the majority of folks do it this way. While photographs may seem inconsequential, they're very important to ensuring your success. This is because photographs add a visual and support the project work that you've talked about in the other sections of your portfolio. It's a little bit like having proof that you've done something by providing this visual element to your portfolio. But while providing that visual component, you should be careful to select only photos that are relative to your project work. The portfolio is not a scrapbook. You can help the judges who are reviewing your portfolio to understand the relevance of each photo you include by providing a brief description. And then finally, when selecting relative photos, keep in mind and review the rubric. The judges want to see what you've learned. Action photos are more important than posed or still photography. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's take a closer look. Here are a few examples of photography do's and don'ts to help guide you in your selection of appropriate photos to include in your portfolio. We begin with an example of what not to include. This photo is a great example of posed or still photography. In your collection, you have many photos just like this. Whether you're lined up as an award winner or lined up with your delegation to a big state event or you're shaking hands with the county mayor, you have more types of this photo than any other. Now, just for kicks and giggles, let's pretend that the young lady in the very center of the front row is me. And let's pretend that I have included this photo as part of my home environment project portfolio. What would this photo tell you about me? Sure, you would know what I look like, but based on this photo, do you know what I've done in terms of my project work? What project goals have I achieved? Do you know what leadership roles I've taken? Do you know with what other activities I have been involved? No, you don't. It's impossible to know any of this by the photo included. This photo is a prime example of what not to include because it tells you nothing about the work that I've done in my 4-H home environment project. It does not matter how well I have written my resume or how detailed my project plans are, nor does it indicate how many things that I've done that are included in my sections A, B, and C forms. This picture does nothing to back that information up, and the judges will have a very hard time weaving together my 4-H story in their minds because the information and the visuals, like this photo, simply do not match up. But hey, what about this one? One of the big projects that I worked on in my home environment project was a patio makeover for my sister's new apartment. She wanted something really girly and bright in color. I had worked with her to decide furniture style, placement, and opted to go with bright pink. So then this photo is perfect, right? Well, no, not exactly. Sure, it's a photo of pink patio furniture, but keep in mind, one of the goals of 4-H is to learn life skills. What skills did I learn in the home environment project work that can be seen in this photo? Did I spray paint the bench? Did I brush it on by hand? Was it prepped and sanded? Was it sealed? Did I have to do any structural repair work to the bench before I painted it? You see the end result, but nothing else. Also, if you read the rubric, then you will understand that the judges are looking for action-oriented photos. Well, okay, you want action, here you go. I'm showing my mad painting skills in this photo. Or is it me painting? Where am I? Be sure that you are included in the context of your action photo so the judges can see you doing the work that you have talked about throughout your portfolio. I have many things included in my section A, B, and C forms. Unfortunately, this picture really does nothing to support that information, and the judges will have a very hard time weaving together my 4-H story in their minds as they work through my portfolio because, once again, the information does not match to the photos that I have included. Well, okay, let's examine this next photograph. Here's a picture of me brushing on paint. It's a photo full of action, and you can easily see some of the skills that I have learned in my project work. Basic painting brushstroke skills in this instance. It's a much better photo, and it would work, but it could still be better if we could see me and not just my hands. Now, this picture is a perfect example, almost. You can clearly see me in this photo showing off some of the skills that I have learned through my work in the home environment project and working on one of the specific projects that was highlighted in my 4-H portfolio. But there is still something missing. Don't forget to add a caption. In the past, those captions have been added under or with every photo. This year, with the onset of the website as the 4-H portfolio, you'll have an opportunity to write a short paragraph to explain all of the photos that you have included in your photo section of your web-based portfolio. Regardless, you need to be sure that you are very specific with each caption and point out the new skills and knowledge that you have learned throughout your 4-H work. This year, the photos will be included in your new 4-H project portfolio. And again, that template that we're using does not allow for captions to be put under the photo like they were in the old portfolio. Instead, you will have 3 sections of photos. You can use one for your main project, one for citizenship, and one for leadership, or you can use them all for the project in which you are entering. 5 photos may be added to each section, and there is a section designed to explain the photos beside each section. And this is where you will write your paragraph, your caption of what the photos are telling. We've talked about identifying 3 sections of photos, one for your main project, citizenship, and leadership. And again, this is just one way that you can lay out your portfolio. But there are actually a couple of ways that you can lay out your portfolio. You might consider using photos to complement your section A, B, and C forms. Or you can also have photos for all 3 sections on the project area in which you have entered your portfolio. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It is totally up to you. So how do the photographs fit together with all of the other elements of your portfolio? Well, it looks something like this. Photographing project work affords you the opportunity to show judges the skills you have learned and the specific project areas you have explored in your respective projects. As an example, and as a participant in the Home Environment Project, you can see that I have focused on a concentration area of interior design, and within this concentration, I am working on 3 different skill areas. One of those is color. I will highlight my work on my sister's patio furniture in some form or fashion in the narrative or resume, project plans, and in the section A profile of my portfolio. Or, since this project was for friends and family, I may not have discussed it in section A, but maybe in section C instead. Regardless, I'm providing judges with a visual so that they can understand better the magnitude of the project and can see my skill set or skill sets being put to use. Take a moment to think how your photographs can support the things that you're learning in your 4-H project work, the skills you have mastered, and the knowledge you have gained. Using this time to process and plan what your photos should look like will help to ensure that you pick the very best ones for your portfolio. And speaking of judges, I am often asked, what exactly are the judges looking for in this section? The judges are given a rubric by which to judge. You might also want to refer to the rubric to ensure that you have attempted to meet the highest standard possible. Keep in mind, the judges look at a lot of portfolios for any given project area. How are you going to stand out? The selection of high quality, appropriate photos that relate to your project can make all the difference. This is, after all, state level competition. Sometimes the 4-H'er named the winner only wins by a few points. Make sure your points count. Looking at the rubric will help guide you in this process. In addition to the rubric, your photos should be of the highest caliber possible. This does not mean that you have to have a professional photographer, have the latest and greatest camera or iPhone, or even submit color photos. Plan, think it out, do your best, and take lots of photos to select the best ones. Remember that even action photos can be objective. Look at the photo above. Is this an action photo or not? Some judges look at this photo as a posed or still shot. She's standing behind a podium. Other judges consider this an action shot as she's speaking to a group. Do not make the mistake of assuming that the judges will understand what you mean and interpret your photo the same way that you do. Please understand that even with a rubric, subjectivity or the judge's preferences can still and will come into play. Finally, the biggest mistake that a lot of 4-Hers make with this section of the portfolio is that they attempt to make it into a scrapbook. Be deliberate in what you include in this section. Receiving an award is great, but what does this show your judge about what you've learned in this project? It's one thing to tell a judge you've accomplished your goal or you've learned something new, but it's even better to show it. If you're a parent of a 4-Her who's working on the Tennessee 4-H project portfolio, please contact your county agent with any questions. If you're an agent with questions, please contact your regional office and ask for the area 4-H specialist. We hope that this information has been helpful. And on behalf of the University of Tennessee 4-H program and the 4-H portfolio work group, thank you for your time and interest in 4-H. We wish you the very best with your project portfolios.